The person you're afraid to the lies. He's the man you're afraid to become. The man your enemies, not your circumstances, not your bad luck. You. Before we go any further, subscribe right now, because everything weak inside you will resist hearing this, and only those who are serious about conquest stay in environments that demand transformation. The version of you that exists today was built for comfort, designed for safety, programmed for survival, not dominance. And survival is a low standard. Survival is what insects do. Survival is what prey does when it hides in the shadows, praying not to be noticed. But you weren't built to hide. You were built to conquer. And yet here you are, hesitating, doubting, negotiating with your own potential like a coward, begging for permission. You wake up with the same mind, the same fears, the same excuses, and you wonder why your life doesn't change, because you haven't changed. You're trying to build a new empire with an old identity. That's impossible. A weak king cannot rule a powerful kingdom. Understand this brutal truth. Your current personality is not your ally, it is your prison. Every habit you tolerate is a brick. Every excuse you repeat is cement. Every amount of hesitation is reinforcement. You don't need motivation, you need execution. Nature itself proves this. Evolution does not negotiate with weakness, it erases it completely, without emotion, without apology. The wolf that hesitates doesn't eat. The lion that doubts doesn't lead. The organism that fails to adapt disappears forever. And you think you're different? You think reality will bend itself to accommodate your comfort. Reality doesn't care about your intentions. It responds only to your actions. Reality respects only power. And power begins with identity, not what you do occasionally, who you are consistently. Right now, your identity is contaminated, polluted with weakness. You hesitate before acting. You seek validation before deciding. You wait for permission before conquering. That hesitation is lethal, because hesitation is visible. People see it in your eyes. They hear it in your voice. They feel it in your presence. You don't command respect because you don't command yourself. Your mind is divided. One side wants conquest. The other side wants comfort. And comfort is the enemy of transformation. Comfort is a slow death. It whispers lies. It tells you there's always tomorrow. It tells you to rest when you should attack. It tells you to delay when you should execute. Comfort turns warriors into spectators. Look at your life honestly. Every opportunity you didn't take wasn't stolen. It was abandoned by you. You abandoned your potential at the altar of safety. Because killing your old self feels terrifying. Your old self is familiar, predictable, safe. But your old self is also insignificant. You cannot become powerful by negotiating with your weakness. You must destroy it completely, not improve it. Destroy it. This is war, not with the world, with yourself. Your old identity will fight back. It will beg for mercy. It will justify its existence. It will remind you of your fears. It will show you memories of failure. It will try to convince you that change is dangerous. It will lie, because the old version of you survives only if you stay weak. Understand the psychology of this battlefield. Your brain is designed to protect your current identity, not upgrade it. It prefers familiar pain over unfamiliar power, because familiar pain over unfamiliar power, because familiar pain is predictable. Unfamiliar power requires transformation. Transformation requires death, not physical death, psychological death. The death of your excuses, the death of your hesitation, the death of your dependence on approval, the death of your tolerance for mediocrity. Most people never experience this death. That's why they never truly live. They exist in a permanent state of almost confident, almost disciplined, almost successful, almost powerful. Almost is the language of losers. Winners operate in absolutes, decisive, ruthless, certain. They don't ask if they should act. They act because they understand something most people never realize. Confidence is not created by thinking. Confidence is created by proof. And proof comes only from action. You are waiting to feel ready. That feeling will never come. Readiness is a myth invented by weak minds to justify delay. The soldier doesn't wait to feel ready. He becomes ready by entering the battlefield. The predator doesn't wait to feel confident. It becomes competent by hunting. Action creates identity, not the other way around. Right now, your actions reinforce weakness. Every time you avoid discomfort, you strengthen the old version of yourself. Every time you choose ease over effort, you vote for insignificance. Every time you delay execution, you confirm your own powerlessness. Your identity is shaped by your repeated decisions, not your intentions, not your dreams, your decisions. This is why killing your old self requires brutality, not kindness. Kindness to weakness is cruelty to your future. You must become intolerant of your own excuses. You must develop psychological violence against mediocrity. When your mind says later, you say now. When your mind says rest, you say move. When your mind says fear, you say annuv. When your mind says fear, you say attack. Because the old version of you survives through negotiation. The new version of you is built through domination. This is not comfortable. This is not easy. This is not normal. That's why it works. Normal people live normal lives. Normal lives are forgettable. You were not designed to be forgettable. You were designed to impose your will on reality. But first, you must impose your will on reality. But first, you must impose your will on yourself. Self-control is the highest form of power. Because if you cannot command your own mind, you cannot command anything. Your mind must become your weapon, sharp, precise, obedient, not emotional, not hesitant, not fragile. Most people are controlled by their emotions. Elite individuals control their emotions. Elite individuals control their emotions. They feel fear and act anyway. They feel doubt and move anyway. They feel resistance and execute anyway because they understand a monumental truth. Emotions are temporary. Identity is permanent, and identity is built through repeated conquest over internal resistance. Every time you override weakness, you weaken it. Every time you obey discipline, you strengthen it. This is the process of psychological evolution. You are literally becoming a different organism. The weak version of you is slowly starving. The ruthless version of you is slowly emerging. But this process requires consistency, not motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is absolute. Motivation depends on feeling. Discipline depends on decision, and decision is power. You must decide that your old self is unacceptable. Not improve it, not manage it, eliminate it. Because your old self cannot carry you to your new life. It was not built for conquest. It was built for survival. And survival is no longer enough. Look around you. Every powerful individual you see has gone through this death. They abandoned their old identity completely. They stopped thinking like average people. They stopped acting like average people. They stopped tolerating average standards. They became obsessed with execution, obsessed with growth, obsessed with domination over their own limitations. Because they understood that reality rewards only those who transform completely. Partial transformation produces partial results. Total transformation produces total conquest. And total transformation begins with a decision so brutal, so absolute, that there is no possibility of retreat. You must reach a point where returning to your old self feels impossible, where weakness feels unnatural, where hesitation feels offensive, where comfort feels like poison. Because comfort is the greatest threat to your evolution. Comfort makes you soft. Soft things break under pressure. Hard things endure. You must become hard, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. You must become someone your old self would fear, someone your old self would not recognize, because that is the only way forward. There is no peaceful path to power. There is only transformation through confrontation. Confrontation with your fears. Confrontation with your weaknesses. Confrontation with the truth. And the truth is simple. Your old self must die so your new self can live. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because every second you delay is another second your weakness survives. And weakness is not passive. It spreads, it contaminates, it grows stronger when tolerated. Which means right now, at this very moment, you are either feeding your old identity or starving it. And most of you are feeding it without realizing it. You feed it when you hit snooze. You feed it when you avoid discomfort. You feed it when you tell yourself lies that sound like logic but smell like fear. I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow is the favorite word of weak men. Tomorrow is where ambition goes to die. Tomorrow is where ambition goes to die. Tomorrow is the graveyard of potential. Because tomorrow never arrives. When tomorrow comes, it renames itself to today. And today, you repeat the same weakness again. This is not an accident. This is identity preservation. Your brain is not designed to make you powerful. It is designed to keep you consistent. Even if that consistency destroys your future, consistency of weakness is still consistency. And consistency shapes reality. This is why your life looks the same. Not because you lack intelligence, not because you lack opportunity, but because you lack opportunity disruption. You are still thinking like the person who deserves your current life. You want new results with old thinking. That is psychological delusion. A poor mindset cannot produce wealthy outcomes. A fragile mind cannot produce powerful presence. A hesitant identity cannot produce decisive action. Everything begins with internal authority. The moment you stop negotiating with weakness is the moment reality begins to negotiate with you. Because reality tests every man. It applies pressure. Pressure reveals truth. Pressure reveals who you really are. Not who you pretend to be. Not who you want to be. Who you actually are. Anyone can feel confident when things are easy. Anyone can feel strong when there is no resistance. Anyone can speak about ambition when there is no risk. But when pain arrives, most people collapse. They retreat into comfort. They retreat into distraction. They retreat into excuses because they never kill their old self. Their old self survives inside them like a parasite, feeding on their hesitation, feeding on their fear. And parasites do not negotiate, they consume. Your weakness is consuming your future. Every day you delay, it grows stronger. Every day you tolerate it, it becomes more embedded, until eventually it becomes your permanent identity. And permanent weakness produces permanent insignificance. This is why transformation must be violent, not physically violent, mentally violent. You must interrupt your own patterns. You must reject your own excuses. You must override your own comfort. Because comfort is a liar. Comfort tells you that you have time. You don't. Time is the only resource that cannot be recovered. Money can return. Energy can be rebuilt. Status can be regained. Time is gone forever, which means every moment spent as your old self is permanent loss. Permanent loss of potential. Permanent loss of growth. Permanent loss of conquest. You cannot afford to remain the same. Look at the psychology of elite performers. They do not tolerate their old limitations. They abandon them immediately. They reinvent themselves repeatedly because they understand that identity is not fixed. Identity is constructed, and construction requires destruction. Before you build a skyscraper, you demolish the weak structure that existed before. You don't build on weakness, you erase it. Your mind is the same. You cannot build a powerful identity on a weak foundation. You must clear it completely. This requires emotional detachment from who you used to be. Most people are emotionally attached to their weakness. They defend it, they justify it, they protect it. They say, that's just who I am. No, that's who you allowed yourself to become. And anything that was built can be rebuilt, but only if you are ruthless enough to stop protecting your limitations. Your old self is not your friend. It is your greatest enemy. It convinces you to stay small. It convinces you to stay safe. It convinces you to stay predictable. Because predictable people are easy to control. Unpredictable people are dangerous. Dangerous to mediocrity. Dangerous to stagnation. Dangerous to every limitation imposed on them. You must become dangerous, not to others, to your former self. You must become someone who does not tolerate weakness internally, someone who does not accept excuses from their own mind, someone who executes regardless of emotional state. Because emotional state is irrelevant. Execution is everything. The amateur waits to feel ready. The professional executes regardless of feeling. Feelings are unstable. Duty is stable. And duty is what builds empires. Your duty is what builds empires. Your duty is not to feel comfortable. Your duty is to evolve. Your duty is to dominate your previous limitations. Your duty is to become someone your past self could never imagine. This requires daily confrontation. Every morning, weakness will present itself. It will offer comfort. It will offer delay. It will offer safety. And every morning, you must reject it. Not once, not occasionally, every time. Because identity is reinforced daily. Every decision either strengthens the new you or resurrects the old you. There is no neutral. You are either evolving or decaying. There is no pause button in psychological evolution. Life moves in one direction, forward, and if you refuse to evolve intentionally, you will decay automatically. Decay is the default. Evolution is the exception, which means becoming powerful is not natural, it is intentional. It is contentional. It is constructed through repeated acts of self-conquest. Self-conquest is the highest conquest, because conquering the world without conquering yourself is fragile victory. External power without internal power collapses. Internal power creates permanent dominance. This is why your focus must shift completely. Stop trying to change your circumstances. Change your identity. Circumstances follow identity automatically. A powerful identity creates powerful actions. Powerful actions create powerful outcomes. Powerful outcomes create powerful reality. But it all begins inside. Inside your decisions. Inside your decisions. Inside your refusal to remain weak. You must raise your standards beyond your current identity. You must demand more from yourself than anyone else demands from you. Because average standards produce average lives. And average lives are invisible. Invisible men do not shape reality. Invisible men do not command respect. Invisible men do not leave impact. You must become visible through your actions, visible through your discipline, visible through your refusal to remain who you were. Because the moment you truly kill your old self is the moment your new self begins to operate with a level of certainty that feels almost inhuman, a level of focus that feels unbreakable, a level of internal authority that makes hesitation impossible. And in that state, you stop hoping for a different life. You start creating it. And now you understand, this is not entertainment. This is separation. Separation from the weak version of you that hesitated, that delayed, that negotiated with its own destruction. That version is gone. What remains is the version that executes, the version that decides, the version that conquers. But understand this transformation is not a private act. It is a declaration, a signal, a line drawn in reality that says, I am no longer who I was. So prove it. Share this with someone who is still asleep in their weakness. Someone who needs this truth before it's too late. Comment below with one word, ruthless. Not for me, for you. So you see your own declaration in front of your eyes. And if you are serious about becoming dangerous to your old limits, then commit to this environment. We are close to 1,000 subscribers. Complete it fast, because numbers are not just numbers, they are proof. Proof that weak minds are being replaced by disciplined ones. Proof the transformation is spreading. This is not a channel, this is a filter. And only those who refuse to remain insignificant will pass through it.